I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, fall. We're now into fall 2024. Let's just talk a little bit about kind of where I foresee things happening here over the next 6 to 12 months. Now, we've got a provincial election coming up October 6th, I believe. I'm not sure if I'll post this prior to that. I should. NDP, people are starting to wake up to the damage that the last, 7 years of NDP socialist rule here in the province have done a lot of damage to the economy, to housing, rentals, vacancy rate on renting a place. I think British Columbia is starting to wake up. Last poll I saw now, the Conservatives have taken the lead. Talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. But only EB could do something like that. I mean, a year ago, they were leading in the polls. It was through the roof. But you see, things pile up here, as I've talked about here. It's a delayed reaction to all these insidious taxes and restrictions and big bloated governments and dumb decisions. It starts to pile up after a while. You know, homelessness up, petty crime, break-ins, broken windows. It's real estate prices continue to go, rents continue to get higher. I don't know. I mean, we won't get too much more political. I'll save that for another blog. But but they've done a lot of damage, the NDP, and it's starting to pile up. So I'm kind of calling this one a perfect storm here as far as real estate goes moving forward here, later this fall and into spring of next year. It's shaping up here. If you're, I think, as I said before, spring 2025, I think it's going to be a pretty strong market for a number of reasons. Population growth continues to move into the Lower Mainland. Interest rates now are coming down quickly, much quicker, I think, than a lot of people thought. Earlier this year, people thought I was nuts for even suggesting one interest rate cut this year. Now we've already had 3 and probably 2 more before the end of the year. So we've got a tailwind now on interest rates. Nothing getting built, as I've talked about. The little bit that was going to be stratified condo has been now shifted to market rental, which is the socialist way. We won't build you anything to move into to become an owner, because we don't want you to be an owner. We want you to become a lifetime renter so that we've got control over you. Don't fall for it, folks. Get out of renting. That's what the socialists want to do. Build you some rental housing. But it's coming at a cost of building stratified condo that you can own. And that's what you want to be for the long run, an owner, not a renter. But I'll just tell a little bit of my notes here. It's a real quagmire that the NDP has gotten us into here, and it's starting to come to roost, and I think it's going to get worse here before it gets better. Even if the Conservatives get in here, it's going to take several years to unravel this mess that we're in. Here's some of my notes here. This is what I'm calling a Vancouver real estate quagmire here, and why prices are going to continue to rise here. Vacancy is going to continue to be near zero, and rents are going to continue to go up. Not as much as they've gone up the last 4 years, because that's unprecedented. Typical one-bedroom condo in the last 4 years has gone up about $1,000 a month. But it will continue to go up. Inflation plus another 4 or 5% on top of that, because the cost to hold these homes for us landlords is going up a lot more than 3%. So those rents will continue to increase, not as quickly as they have, but it's not going to get easier for you if you're a renter, that's for sure. It's going to be much more difficult moving forward. But interest rates coming down. A lot of government bureaucracy, especially at the provincial level. Developers, I've said before, do not trust this socialist government. I wouldn't either. I would never build anything, a triplex, a fourplex, forget it. Not with this current government. I don't trust them. What's next? Rent control? They have a war on landlords. Why would you want to build any more rental property, or any rental stock? Not while they're in office, that's for sure. Unfriendly business environment. Talked about this many times. It is. It's a dirty little secret. The socialist NDP are not business friendly. They're not, let's face it. So why would you want to get into business with them? They don't. That's why we've got a housing shortage. Labor shortages, getting tougher and tougher to get trades. I'm seeing that firsthand here. I've got a couple of, we're going to be strata at the end of my block, got scrapped for market rental. And this has been going on for 4 years. Finally, they've started construction on this after 4 years of the development boards being up. They tore down the buildings here this spring, and now they're working on the excavation of the lots. Boy, they're going slow. I mean, maybe some of you guys in construction can comment. They've been working on this now for 6 months, excavating these 2 large sites for the underground parking, but to me, it seems like a skeleton crew out there. Some days it doesn't look like anybody's doing anything. They just put the cranes up. It's taken them about 6 months to excavate these sites, but it's slow. They start sometimes at 7:30 in the morning, but seem to dock off early. They don't seem to have full crews. By the rate they're going, these buildings won't be done for 5 years. We'll see. Material costs have skyrocketed. I've done that on some earlier blogs, why I see prices increasing. The input cost for building homes these days has gone through the roof, partially with COVID and inflation. But the cost for lumber, for steel, for rebar, glass, appliances, flooring, fixtures is all skyrocketed. And as I said in earlier blogs, I don't think that's reflected yet in the current tangible market. But it will. There's always a delay there. As these prices will, and inflation going into these input costs will gradually find their way into the current inventory or the tangible market. Difficult to do a pro forma. I've talked about that on new development with all these input costs skyrocketing, labor shortage, high interest rates, which are now finally coming down, unfriendly business environment. What's the next shoe to drop from the NDP on rental housing and restrictions and double dipping on the GST, a flipping tax coming in next year, increase in the capital gains tax. These developers their heads are spinning. To do a pro forma, they have to secure the land, run it through the NIMBYs, run it through City Hall. What do we have to charge to make a reasonable profit on these units? And it's getting difficult to figure it out. So why bother? I'll just head down to Hawaii and take a year or two off and just let everything settle down. Maybe we'll get a more business-friendly government in place here later this year, and we'll take it from there. And that's what you're seeing. Not much cranes, not much action going on here. So the developers are on the sideline. Limited existing inventory, increased population, so the demand keeps going up, but our inventory is pretty static right now. So as demand keeps going up, if the supply doesn't keep pace, you're going to see prices continuing to rise. Time is not on your side if you're a buyer here. You should try and get in sooner rather than later. I know I sound like a typical realtor. I don't care. But that's just my honest advice to you. If you're renting right now, do everything you can to get that down payment funds in place. Get out of that renter quicksand. Take advantage of these lower interest rates, lock in a variable rate for 5 years, and take advantage of the cuts as they come. That's what I would do if I was in your shoes. Because rental rates are not coming down. They're not going to go up as quickly as they have the last 4 years, but they're going to expect rental rates to go up back to pretty much a normal average amount, which might be inflation plus another 2%. So let's call it maybe 5% year over year. So your rents aren't coming down, and finding a quality home to rent is getting tougher. Vacancies near zero. So, finally thing was, it's getting tougher and tougher to qualify for a mortgage. You've got the stress test. Just on a personal note, it's incredible. I'm amazed sometimes that anyone can borrow money at all from the Canadian banks. I always laugh at these guys that think, it's so easy to get a mortgage. It's not. It's getting more and more difficult every year. On a personal note, I'm restructuring a few things in my portfolio. I've got a couple of mortgages up for renewal. So I want to have some money. I'm thinking about buying another place here. I won't give you the details right now. But so I want to kind of get my ducks in a row. Boy, these guys are putting me through the hoops. I've got a lot of equity in these homes. I've got a lot of money on the sidelines in stocks and equities, liquid cash. And they still run me through the hoops for my T4s for the last couple of years, all my rental income. They wanted to do an appraisal on a couple of my homes. Oh, no problem. Okay, I go through it. But it is not getting easier, and it's going to get more and more difficult all the time to qualify for a mortgage. That's why if you're a young person, hook or crook, you should be trying to get into home ownership before it's too late. It's not going to get any easier for you. It's going to get more and more difficult. Qualifying for these mortgages and the 2% stress test and everything else. Very difficult in Canada to qualify for a mortgage. All those reasons why you should probably be a buyer here and try and get into home ownership. It's not going to get easier. We're not building anything. Interest rates now are coming down. Tougher to get a mortgage. Input costs are skyrocketing. Developers are skittish right now. Most of them are on the sidelines, or maybe to keep busy building some rental stock. That's not going to do you much good, not in the long run. Maybe in the short term, having some rental stock added. We need more rental homes for sure, but you don't want to be in that rental market very long. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. See you next week.